I used to think that goals were kind of like climbing a mountain. Then once I get to the top on the summit and I will have made my goal. But now I think it's more like learning to ride a bike. Pretty rocky at the beginning. You're going to fall, but you get better and better over time. And then, one day, like, you're just a good bike rider.
Welcome back to the Drum Show podcast. I am really excited about this episode because I have one of my students here and they are some of my favorite to interview because they represent people just like you, just like me, that had an idea that they wanted to start drumming and they just did it and they're super successful at it. And today we have Evie. Evie, welcome to it. I'm excited.
Hello, thank you.
Evie, refresh my memory. You've been a student of mine a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, almost a year and a half next month.
Okay, so you've been playing the drums for right at a year and a half then?
E-kit for 6 months, and then an acoustic kit for 18 months. So almost 2 years total now.
Almost 2 years. And Evie is super busy now. She makes all kinds of progress in her practice time. She's learning new songs every time I talk to her. And then she also plays in a local, is it School of Rock or is it another...
School of Rock. Yep.
Yeah. Local School of Rock, which is a great place to go if you're looking to play in a band setting and you can't find that. I always encourage my students, get out and play with other people as soon as possible. So, okay. So you started the drums. Now, I won't ask for exact age, but what's what around about what age are you?
I'm in my low 40s.
I'm in my 20s, Stephen. Okay, so you also have a career, correct? Is that right?
Yep, working payroll. Mm-hmm.
Have a career. You have a family, right? Husband, kid. You're doing like all the things. Why, all of a sudden, did you say, you know what I need to do? I need to play the drums. What was the thought there?
I generally have always liked music. And so I have at various points tried different instruments. So I tried the piano, I tried acoustic guitar and then electric guitar. I even tried flute for a hot second and just none of them landed. I don't know. So I saw E-kit shopping for Christmas one year and I was like, let me put this on my wish list. Because my dad had instilled in me, like, if you're going to make a big purchase, wait, a week or 30 days or something. Well, gosh, that turned into 5 years. But that wasn't about the money. That was more about, I was fully aware that if I'm serious about learning an instrument, it's going to take time. You have to actually build in time to do practice. So I didn't want to buy it and then just be screwing around. And then my husband got it for me on my birthday one year. And that was it.
This is a good husband, by the way. You need to keep this guy.
I'll keep him around for a little bit, I think.
So, I'm always curious, I have 3 kids. My wife and I have 3 kids. And, so being a mom, oftentimes I find talking to moms that I wind up teaching the drums to, some of them feel bad for taking a hobby away from their kid or their family. They almost feel like this is time that they should be spending with their family, and now they're stealing from that time. How did you kind of tackle that whole thing? Because I think it makes you a better mom. I think it makes you a better employee. I think it makes you a better wife to have your own interests.
I waited. Well, I didn't intentionally wait, but I got them when he was in high school. So he's already at an age where it's not really cool to be hanging out with me.
So you replace your child with this inanimate, music. Sorry, you've been replaced. I'm sorry. I can't hang with you tonight. Okay, so when you started, so you had tried multiple other instruments. And this is always intriguing to me because I have instruments that I have learned. I've obviously the drum set, and then I can play 4 mallet instruments. I had to learn that in college, 4.5 years of that. And I can also play piano. I'm not a concert pianist, but I can plunk my way through some things and have fun with it. But then I have other instruments that I've picked up and I haven't succeeded with them. And I have a reason, but I'm interested to know what was different with the drums and how you approached it this time that made it stick, besides, your unending desire to be a flautist, to play the flute. Now, what's different? What's different between being a drummer and being a flautist? Why did this one go and that one didn't?
Actually, a good question, because I stopped piano because I was getting tendonitis from the finger movement, and I hated guitar because it was chewing up my fingers.
Oh yeah, it'll do that.
But I get tendonitis with the drums, and that doesn't stop me. So actually know what the answer is. There must be like some indefinable quality that I like hitting things, I guess. Maybe
Yeah.
it's that.
Maybe this is the reason. Hey, stress relief is a valid thing.
Feels more mathematical than some of the others. I don't know why, because it's all music. But I do like math.
For me, I know that it's been, because you're an adult, I'm an adult, life's busy, you know? And for me, it's been, if I didn't carve out that time, if I didn't have a time and also an event leading up to that time. So in other words, something happens in my day and now it's time for me to go do this thing, you know, which is practice or what, even if it's just a little bit. Piano is a good one for me right now, because every night I wanted to refresh on my piano, and there's in our, you know, as a family, you have a nightly routine, and there's a time in the night when I just have kind of 20 minutes. It's like 20, 30 minutes by myself, right? And I'm like, this is the time. I just need to set it up easily. And I've made more advancements on the piano with that little 20 or 30 minute time period where I know every night this is going to happen and I'll have this little bit of time. That's been the difference for me, is being able to do that. And I think it has to do with how much you like it.
Oh, your mindset? Totally. I love it. Practice is not a chore. I don't leave work like, oh God, I have to go practice the drums. I'm like, come on, I need to get home. Get out of my way, traffic. I gotta go play.
And now you were telling me a couple weeks ago, you've been your practice time has been going up, and you've been kind of losing track of time and all of that. Is that right?
Yes. My general rule is like I'm gonna practice for 30 minutes, even though I know I'm gonna practice for more than that. But if I sit down and have in my head I have to sit here for an hour, it feels overwhelming. So I tell myself 30 minutes. And then, yeah, I lose track of time and I'll be like, oh my gosh, my hands are not working anymore. I better stop. It's been 2 hours. Get out of it.
Take me from, now you're playing with School of Rock, which means you're actually playing with other people, which for some people is such a big jump. They're like, you know, I'll tell some people they've been playing 4 or 5 years. I'm like, have you played with another musician? No, I've never done that. When people come here for a camp, that's one of the things they do during the week. We bring in professional musicians and we have them sit and play with them, because that's, you know, what music is about. So how long was it between when you started and when you started at the School of Rock, I think it was? And was that the first place that you started playing with other musicians?
That was the first place I started playing with other people. It took me a year. And when I originally started, I was like, I have no interest in playing with other people. It was a mindset thing too. I was afraid of it. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, it was embarrassing how scared I was to go play with other people. Right. And then I went to School of Rock. They're all, you know, like relatively new instrument players. They were all just as scared as I was. And it was fine. And it's fun.
We at one of the camps we did here, she was a new drummer. She'd only been playing maybe not even a year. She'd never played with other musicians really. And we have a recording day. And she came in and did the recording. And you're playing with a track, right? And she came out of there and she's like, I've never done drugs, but I've got to imagine it can't be better than what I just did in there. Like, it was such a high for her to, you know, to successfully play through that and have fun with it. So nervous. How did you overcome that?
I still get a little nervous. I don't think some of that is always going to go away. I do try to keep in my head like nervous is the same as excited, or like it presents the same as excited. So I try to tell myself that, but I'm still nervous.
Yeah. That's my big saying with people. I had someone tell me that it was years ago, and nervous and excited feel so very similar, you know. And so sometimes, like you said, it helps. But I know a buddy of mine, Darren King, who was in a band called Mute Math, when he first got with that group in the early days, he would throw up after the shows because he would get so just, you know, nervous and excited, and, you know, he just couldn't do it, you know.
I don't throw up, but I could see how a person could. It's nervous. Well, you know, you think the world's going to like open up and swallow if you make a little mistake. Mm-hmm. It doesn't. And the moment comes and you make a mistake and then it passes. And nobody in the audience even heard it.
Yeah. Nobody died. Nobody got foreclosed on. Nobody went bankrupt. And most of the time, nobody noticed. And sometimes if you go back and listen, I remember a show that I did a couple years ago. And in my head, it was the worst show that I've played in years. And the sound guy sent me the board tape because I wanted it, and I couldn't listen to it for like 2 years. And then I went back and listened to it. It sounded fine. Even the one big mistake that I made, it was barely noticeable. It was like, wait, did you miss that or did you not? You know, and it had to do with I couldn't hear. They had changed the mix in between sound check and the show, and I couldn't hear. And there's these hits that are supposed to happen between me and the band. There's no time, and I just have to be able to hear. And I'm sitting there looking at the monitor guy like, what is going on? You know, can't hear a thing. Anyway, it wasn't even noticeable. I couldn't even, if you would have put a gun to my, I could not figure out where I'd made all the mistakes that I had amped myself up, you know.
All in your head. And like, that's not to say that I don't ever make big mistakes, right? One time I dropped my sticks and I either added a beat or dropped a beat, and right, the whole rest of the song, well, not the whole rest of the song, you at least get the cue for the next chorus or the next verse, and then you get back on track. But even that, like, that's how you learn.
Yeah.
Now I practice like, okay, make sure if you drop your sticks or something weird happens, you still have to count.
For sure. And that's something I actually used to practice was, okay, I'm going to fake drop a stick, and how do I get it and keep
hard.
time?
I've tried that.
It's just kind of throw it on the ground. It's like, okay, now I got to pick it up.
Fake, throw your sticks.
It is so hard. It is so hard. Okay, so you told me where you had a message yesterday or the day before where you were playing. Which song were y'all playing? It was the one. It was Rage Against the Machine.
And the Name Win?
Yeah. So tell me about that, because there was a part of that song you were nervous about.
So I have a little private lesson like right before the group rehearsal, and there's this 8-bar breakdown where it's kind of just like loose time, ad-lib drum rolls, and cymbal swells. And I mean, you've met me. I'm very much like, oh my gosh, if I don't know the exact notes to play, I can't do it. So I was like, can you please, teacher, like, just tell me what to play? And I mean, I guess maybe I'm grateful. He did not. He was like, look, you could try starting something on the hi-hat, then maybe move to the snare, maybe move to the toms. And I eventually got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm just going to make up some crap. And I'm like, I'm going to pretend like this is what I meant to play. And I'm just going to be like confident, like I practiced the hell out of this. Go to rehearsal. And I did. I mean, I was out of time. I wasn't counting. I didn't count the right 8 bars, but all the cymbal swells and like snare drums, like they did not sound nearly as bad as I thought they were going to. And then at the end, right, everybody's just like, oh man, that was a really good take. Like, good job, everybody. And I was like, wow, they didn't even know. I had no clue what I was.
I say this about my wife all the time. I'll be like, man, she didn't even know. I don't know what I'm doing here, you know. I'm going to keep faking this. Maybe she'll stay around. Go into your practice time, because I know that you practice pretty consistently. I know some of my students, they kind of struggle with motivation. They'll have good days, bad days. The bad days tend to take them out. Sometimes they won't practice here or because they're kind of bummed about not seeing their progress. And I know you see pretty consistent progress in what you do. So do you attribute that to just kind of the methodical approach you take with when you show up to practice? Brought to you by the Drum Better Daily program. That's actually my online drum school that I've run now for 12 plus years. Not only have I been playing the drums professionally since the age of 15, I've been teaching since the age of 18. Matter of fact, I talked to one of my first student a few days ago. I actually called him to see if he could sub a gig out for me. Daniel, love you, man. And he's still playing. He's still doing it on a pro level. And I have been committed to teaching for 22 plus years now. I would love to have you go check it out at stevensdrumshed.com. You can find a link to that in the show notes or video description, whichever platform you're watching it on. But it truly is a community of like-minded drummers where we are striving to just be the best that we can be at the drums. In addition to over 70 pre-recorded drum courses, there's also a tech talk area where we talk about everything technology related as it pertains to the drums, e-kits, recording, doing videos, all of that stuff. There are forums where you can hang out with the other students as well. We do 2 live video student calls every week that you can join if you'd like to. We do guest artist calls monthly, and I'll even make you a personalized lesson plan if that's what you need. Yes, we talk about the nuts and bolts of drumming. Yes, I give you exercises, but we also talk a lot about how to practice more efficiently, how to practice better, and how to get more out of your practice time. I know you're just like me. You're busy, you're being pulled by work, by family, by friends, by other responsibilities. Whenever you practice, you really want to see gains and have it be productive. That is what we focus on in the Drum Better Daily program. I'll have to say personally, it's been really cool because some of these students I've worked with for over 12 years, we started running drum camps here in 2022, and I got to meet some of them in person for the first time. Those drum camps have been selling out, blowing my mind with how much fun they are and how great a time it is to bring the community together in person. I'd love to have you be a part of it.
Definitely the methodical approach. And I do still have bad days. Like there's days when you sit down, it's just like, nothing is going right. Those days I am like half an hour, that's it, put it away. Like fine, I'll have one bad day a month and I'm okay with that. But the methodical approach, I start with the stuff that I don't know. I do not constantly play the stuff that I've already learned. So I'm always doing new stuff. A lot of times, like your sheet music, the lessons, I can't get through a whole one-in-one practice session. So then the next day, like I'll actually start at the end and work backwards. Mm-hmm. I keep a ridiculous spreadsheet. You've seen it.
Well, now I guess we should tell people what is your field of work that you do, because I'm very intrigued because I teach mostly adults at this point. Actually, 40 and over is kind of the demographic that we find is most attractive. We have all demographics, but that's kind of the biggest. And I'm always interested in what people do and how that looks. And how that affects their personality on the instrument.
Oh, yeah. I do payroll, which is very specific. You follow a certain set of procedures the exact same way every single time. Yeah.
So it's funny because I've actually, when people come in, I don't try to, lump them into these categories, but I can kind of get a feel for like, oh, I see what this is super creative. They're really out there, no rules. So we're going to we need to put some structure in here so that they can swim and create. And then we have other people that are from the other side that are like, wait a second, hold on. I'm sorry, a piece of dirt here. I thought that was a note. It's not a note. They're very organized. They're very methodical with how they go through everything. And then with those people, I have to stretch them out and say, okay, let's be a little creative here. It's okay to not learn it note for note. It's okay to, so I find it interesting that that's what you do for, work. And then a lot of that translates over.
I'm getting better because I am one of those where like, come on, Evie, we don't need to play it exactly. But so like, that is my process for learning a song. Well, first I listen to it a ton of times and then I chart it. And then I break down like each individual groove, like no metronome, no music. And I try to play it as true to the song as I can. And like pretty quickly, like I can't. So I have to start simplifying things. So then I simplify it down to what I think I can play. Then I'll play it to a metronome a little bit. Then I'll put it back to music. And then I'll like slowly bring it up to tempo. Then work on my transitions. Then work on it with just a metronome to make sure I have the structure memorized. And then the last step is like play it without a metronome, because when you're playing live, like we don't get metronomes. So when I'm playing live, I just have to be able to play it.
Right. And so I just love that you have a process, because so many people don't have a process for learning a song. And I most definitely do. Every professional I've ever met, if you have to learn things quickly and in an organized way, because maybe, I don't know, you have 4 or 5 people at home you have to feed, and if you don't learn those songs, you can't feed them, right? It gets real whenever it's like, no, there's no food on the table if you don't know how to learn songs. And so you get very good at having a system for this is how I do this and this and this, and if I do all of these steps, I know that I'll be able to learn the song. And I had a gig the other day. It was actually a church gig. Church had hired me to come and play across town. And Kelly said, well, did you learn the music yet? I said, no, I didn't. And it was Saturday night. And she said, well, are you going to learn it? I said, look, worship leaders are notorious for changing their minds at the last second. This was 2 weeks before that, they had messaged me at 9:30 at night on Saturday and changed a song. And she said, well, when are you going to learn it? I said, I'm going to get up 30 minutes early in the morning and I'm going to learn it. She said, "Is that enough time?" And I said, "Yeah, it's just 4 songs. I got it, you know." And I got up and I had my paper printed out. And I went through my system and I charted it out and I listened to them on the way there. And by the time I got there, it was one playthrough of each. And they're like, "Well, that's great. Let's, you know." So, but it took me years to get that process down and get it to where I could effectively learn things and get better. Now, have you found as you're going through learning songs, have you found that it has gotten easier or harder? Has that skill?
It definitely gets easier. Right now, I'm still young enough that every song I learn is like some variation of a groove that I haven't learned yet. So I'm still just learning new grooves. But yeah, because you just follow the process. Once you get the process down, you just apply it to every song.
Right.
And then it's just a matter of like, is this groove harder than this one or these fills?
Going back to the family, because being an adult learner, I was told this by one of my students actually a few years ago, is different than being a child learner or learning early in life. And they said, you know, when you're a kid, you're learning and you play it and you don't sound good. And so everybody goes, "Oh, isn't that great? They're trying so hard. You know, just look at what they're doing. They're really trying." And he said, when you get to become an adult, you tell them you're learning an instrument and then they hear you play and you're not good yet because you just started and then, you know, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you know, did you see Evie? I mean, bless her heart. She's really trying, isn't she?" You know, it's like this flip thing, like we should automatically be competent at everything because we've passed a certain age. And he said, so there's not as much grace, I guess, given. How has your husband and your son, you have a son, right? Yeah. How have they reacted and been involved with or not been involved with your wanting to learn an instrument, kind of learning that? And
Oh, well, they're totally supportive. And neither one of them are like terribly well, my kid practices piano. But, like my husband says, like he doesn't know a lot about music, so he doesn't know if it sounds good or not. He's like, "I know the song that you're playing." Like when he goes to the thing, it's cool. It's true because like as an adult, right? First of all, I don't have somebody saying you have to practice. That's the difference between adults and children. Like you have to do it for yourself. I guess a lot of it is just that because I'm an adult, nobody's going to make me do it except for myself.
Yeah, except for yourself. Now, what are some other benefits that you've found have come into your life from learning the drums? It could just be companionship with other musicians. It could be any number of things. I'm always interested in that because I found that learning an instrument, yeah, it's about the instrument, but then there's also these other kind of life changes that start to happen because we take on this identity, which is really what we want, right? We want the identity of a drummer. You wanted to be a drummer, and you know, so with that identity, there, you know, sometimes comes these other, sometimes small changes, sometimes larger changes in life. I have some students, you know, they're now spending 2 and 3 weekends every month gigging out, and that's a whole different thing for them. Have you noticed any other changes in other areas?
Not huge ones, maybe small ones. I've always had like hobbies that require a bunch of like just mental. You have to think about it and focus. Mostly drumming has just replaced those, but like small things, like I started a garden. I started doing planks. I hate them and they hurt, but
well, you started the planks. Yeah, you started the planks. It was to improve core strength, was that not?
yes, because I had a problem when I have to like do both the left and the right foot simultaneously and you lift them both up, I get very wobbly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so we discussed, you know, maybe some core strengthening planks. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to play one on the internet, by the way. Consult your physician before you start any physical activities. Like
It was interesting though, because after a week I was like, oh, I can hold my leg up way longer with no problem. And then of course the next problem arises with like, oh, now you need some foot control. But that's like, that's how it works. Like, fine, let's solve one problem. The next one rises. Now we solve that one.
Yep. And the way it was fun, the way that you involved planks in your day, I thought, because we talked about maybe having a trigger that would trigger you to kind of do this core strengthening, you know, and I said the crass one of like, every time you go to the bathroom, you can then do a plank. And she's like, I don't think I'm going to do that. So it was what
the person goes to the bathroom a day. I cannot do 7 planks a day. Come on.
So it was every time you filled your water bottle up, wasn't it?
I said, I'm going to do a plank every time I fill my water bottle. And then instantly I was like, oh my God, I need to stop drinking so much water.
I went from 4 bottles a day to 0
Well, but
bottles.
seriously, after like 5 days of doing it, so I do 2 or 3 planks a day. And now I don't even think about it. I probably could even not attach it to the water bottle. I could just like,
Right. Right. Well, that's a great change. Okay. A couple questions for you to kind of put you on the spot. You've got a friend that's a new drummer, right? They're just coming to it. What is 3 or 4 things you would tell them, things that you look back now that helped you, or things you wish you would have done a little bit differently, you feel helped you learn the drums or could have helped you more, kind of looking back, hindsight being 2020?
number 1 is take lessons with the like asterisk of like find a teacher that works for you, because not all students and teachers fit together like puzzle pieces. Different learning styles, different teaching styles. And I have, through my incredible 2-year drumming career, like had a bunch of teachers, and like it's true, like some of them are just not a good fit. And it's not like they're very nice people. It's just that their teaching style doesn't match my learning style.
I tell them, I'm like, the quicker you can move on, the better it is for you and for the teacher. Because chances are, if you're not feeling it, they're probably not either. It's kind of that thing. And I had some teachers that were the same. And you wouldn't believe the number of even professional players that the reason they don't teach is because they're not a good teacher. And they know it. And they just don't do that. And then there are some drummers that try to teach and they're not a good teacher and they don't know it. And and then some of them are burned out, some of them you just don't gel with. So yes, find a good teacher that's a great one.
I only follow 2 people on YouTube. There's so much information out there, and for me a lot of it's just way too much. I was watching just today like a 40-minute video on like how to low tune a snare drum. And at a certain point I was like, sure, this is interesting, but like as a new drummer, like this is, I don't think, meant for me. I don't need 40 minutes about the difference between an eighth of a turn.
I do know, and I think that's a really important thing to do, because the amount of information we have at our fingertips right now is just so vast and overwhelming. And being able to limit who you let, I do this with lots of areas of my life, and so it's like I limit who I allow to speak into my life on certain topics. It's like, oh, so-and-so said that I need to try this in my marriage. Well, before I'm going to go trying that, I will probably have vetted this person. And is this somebody that I even want speaking, that type of a thing? And so it's the same with drumming. You just narrow the amount of input so that you can focus more. That's a great friend of mine, Mark DiCiani, said people that think that to focus more, they need to try harder to focus. And he said, really, to focus more, you need to become better at ignoring things. You need to become better at limiting the number of outside stimulus, the number of outside things you allow in there, and the things you can ignore. And so that's a really good way to do that, is just limit the number of people that you'll allow yourself to watch and listen to.
And then I would say the third thing is just get comfortable with improvising right from the get-go. I'm serious. Like, just because I call it like just screw around, play whatever you want to.
Yeah, have fun with it. Well, they call it playing the drums for a reason. A lot of people don't know that drums are an improvisational instrument at their core. They started in the blues and in jazz, and we didn't have any charts telling us. There were no classical pieces with charts telling us what to play. And then a lot of people don't know that a lot of the classical composers, Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, all those guys, Chopin, Debussy, they actually would improv within their pieces. There would be these sections where they would improv. And so each time they played it, oftentimes it would be a little bit different than the time before, because they were improvising around some of the themes that they had made.
For me to say improv, I guess when I think about it, so I'm learning a song and there's a section for a fill there. It's not complete improvisation for me. I have like whatever 4 or 5 eighth note drum fills that I can just pick and choose. Like that to me is what I consider improving. It's like pick one of the things that you know, because true improv sounds scary to me.
Yeah, oh yeah, it is a little bit scary. But true improv, I think improvisation always has rules. I think we can't be creative unless we have some rules to follow, you know? Yeah, whenever you get into the really esoteric ends of like jazz and 20th century harmony, and where it's like there's no rules, we're just, and it's a free jazz, and I mean, I get it, but to me, it's not near as musical as some forms where we at least have a couple of confines where we're, whether that just be key tonal centers or those types of things. Okay, awesome. So how have you kept this fun for yourself? How have you seem to be having a lot of fun with it. What are some things that you have allowed yourself to do or not do, or that have kept it as a fun thing? Or maybe you haven't even thought about that.
Yeah, I don't even know how to answer that. Like, it just is fun. It just is.
I agree. It's a blast. And that's always kind of the thing that whenever I find people aren't having fun playing the drums, I'm like, well, hold on. Let's stop everything and figure out, why aren't you having fun? Yeah, why aren't we having a good time here? Did you learn songs from the start? Was that something that you started learning very early on?
Well, yes. Well, that was my first teacher. Like, I would just go to class and be like, oh, I heard this song, so I'm trying to play it. And I would just go in every single week with some song that I had tried to learn off of sheet music and kind of was like, can you just assess this song?
Right.
And so, yeah, I did no hand and foot singles. I did none of that at the beginning. I only played to music.
Only played to music, yeah. That's the longer I've taught, the more my teaching, especially in the early stages, revolves around just learn some songs. Let's get some songs going. Because I find that once you whittle it down, not many people that I talk to are like, oh, I learned the drums so that I could be physically fit, or I learned the drums so that I could, have, stress relief. It always has to do with that stress relief, yes, but also the songs, what they were playing in those songs. And so many students, it boils down to a very simple thing. I learned the drums so that I could play songs, And
I remember when I started with you, I was actually like, oh my God, hand and foot singles, these are fun. I'll sit here and play this all day. I loved those exercises. And I was almost like, enough of playing the music. I'll just sit here and play triplets. I don't care.
I find it's easier to get people to eat their vegetables once they've had a bunch of dessert. It's like, yeah, go have fun. Learn those songs. Have fun with it.
One time you're like, why do you like those? I was like, I don't know. They're cool. They do. They sound cool.
That's amazing. So what's the plan over the next? I mean, if you could go back and talk to Evie 5 years ago, do you think that you would have seen yourself practicing the drums every day and playing in a band? And
well, if I went back to Evie 5 years ago, I would be like, get it out of your wish list and buy it right now. First of all, I am like, could you imagine where I would be right now if I had bought those 5 years ago?
So what's the plan for this next year? You got some goals with what you're doing?
Overall goal really is like, I just want to be musical. I used to think that goals were kind of like climbing a mountain. Then once I get to the top on the summit and I will have made my goal. But now I think it's more like learning to ride a bike.
Right.
Like, it's pretty rocky at the beginning. You're going to fall, but you get better and better over time. And then, one day, like, you're just a good bike rider, I guess. Like, I just want to be good. I want to be able to play with people and sound good. That's my ultimate goal. And I don't spend too much time, like, actually focusing on that. I just focus on the small. Like, right now, I want to learn shuffles. Okay, so that's a good goal for the next. I want to conquer them. They're so elusive.
Well, it's not just a new groove, it's a new feel too, Shuffle's a swung feel. And if you've never played that, when somebody wants to learn the blues, I'm like, okay, well, we also have to learn a new feel. So we're not always playing straight here. We have to play swung. So, yeah.
And I also just listening to way more music. There's so much music out there. I've like pigeonholed myself into country and rock for 40 years. There's a lot of, and like, my ears might not particularly enjoy it, but there's a lot of just like interesting musical value even in it.
Oh, yeah.
I find interesting to learn.
Oh, yeah. 100%. And I kind of like segment listening with new music. You know, if I want like the oldies, you know, that the goodies, the ones that I always listen to, or the ones I listen to when I work out or whatever that is. But then I kind of segment like, okay, I'm going to listen to some new music, you know, on my drive to work or whatever that may look like. And that way it's not all the time I'm having to force myself to listen to new music.
I don't know if there's a word for it. It's like I get kind of fatigued if I listen to a new type of music for too long.
Yeah, well, it's all new stuff, so you're having to process nothing's familiar with it, you know. So yeah, I can imagine that would tire the brain out a little bit more. Well, I just wanted to take a second and say thank you for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. You got family, you got work, you got drum practice. Yeah, exactly. She's like, can we get off the call now? I have to go practice. So, Evie, thank you so much. I'm super proud of you and the progress you've made. And thanks for just taking the time to encourage other people and show them that it is possible. If you are a mom and a professional and you want to start playing the drums when you're in your early 20s, because you're in your early 20s, right?
In my early 20s, you can definitely do it.
You could definitely do it. So, all right. Well, we'll talk soon,
You'd
Evie.
have to do some planks though. So
I love it. All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon, Evie.